underway for 243 seats of Bihar Legislative Assembly. The counting also underway for the bypolls of 58 assembly seats across many states and the Valmiki Nagar Lok Sabha constituency. Authorities are all prepared for the counting day today. Three-tier security in place at the counting stations in Bihar. 55 counting stations set up across 38 districts of the state. The counting process to follow the COVID-19 protocol. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attends first meeting of the BRICS finance ministers and the central bank governors meeting, lays the importance on consensus solution to address the issue of taxation of digital economy. Museums, art galleries and exhibitions under the Ministry of Culture to reopen today under Unlock 5.0 guidelines by the Home Affairs Ministry. The Ministry of Culture had issued SOPs for reopening of these cultural institutions last week. Global markets rally after Pfizer vaccine news. Wall Street hits a record highs. European shares jump to an 8-month high. Joe Biden's projected victory in the US elections also cited as a reason for the Monday rally. And US President Donald Trump fires Defense Secretary Mark Esper, announces Chris Miller as the acting Secretary of Defense. Miller is the director of the US National Counter-Terror Center. Hello and good morning. You're watching DD India with me, Nancy Kohli. And first up, all the news from poll-bound Bihar, where the counting day is happening today. The counting is underway for Bihar Assembly elections. Well, the counting began at 8 this morning with the postal ballots being counted first. The electronic voting machines were open after half an hour. Elaborate security arrangements have also been made to ensure peaceful counting across the state. 55 counting centers have been set up in 38 districts of the state. Three-tier security system has been created in and around the counting centers. The Election Commission has instructed to follow the COVID-19 protocol during the counting. Every counting personnel has to wear a face mask, and all the counting centers have been sanitized. Social distancing will be maintained during the counting of votes. The elections to 243-member Bihar Assembly was held in 3 phases. The first phase of polling was held on 28 October, covering 71 constituencies, while polling for the second phase on the 3rd of November. Covering 94 seats. The third and the final phase of voting took place on the 7th of November for 78 seats. The counting for Valmiki Nagar Lok Sabha seat in Bihar is also underway, and the results are expected by this evening. However, the Bihar Chief Electoral Officer said the results will take a little more time because more electronic voting machines have been used this time around. Let's go across now to our correspondent Salman Haider, who's joining us from Patna this morning. Salman, what's the sense you're getting as far as the counting of votes in Bihar is concerned today? And, we understand that both the sides are very optimistic and exuding confidence about their win.
Yes, Nancy, there is neck-to-neck fight. Right now, I am away from counting center. I am at Sadakat Ashram, which is the headquarters of Congress party. But whatever I gathered from those counting centers, that ballot papers are still being counted. In a while from now, the ballot units will be open, and counting the actual counting of EVMs will start. But as far as the trends are showing us that neck-to-neck fight is going on between Mahagathbandhan, the Great Alliance, and NDA. So right now is very early to say anything about the result, what result would be, unless the EVM counting starts. This time the EVM machines, each EVM machine has recorded less than or around 1,000 votes as against previous 1,500 votes. So more EVM machines have had been deployed due to Corona, this Corona challenge. So it will take time. Maybe late afternoon, the result would start coming in. Yes, Nancy.
Okay. Of course, you're saying that it's a neck and neck fight, and that's what the trends are indicating, and that's what makes this battle for Bihar so very interesting, Salman. With both the sides very optimistic, it's a neck and neck fight. They're really happening.
Yes.
Just put this into perspective for us. Break down these elections to the wire for us, because we have seen that the electorate this time were more aware, were very responsible. Politicizing of issues didn't really bother or affect them. They were very clear in their minds and they were very determined what they were voting for. And when we spoke to the electorate after each phase of voting, the sense that one got was the issues at the center of their voting, at the core of their hearts was good governance, was development, was education, employment. So clearly we are seeing a pattern being broken and a changed pattern in Bihar. Salman.
See, Nancy, Bihar has been from the very beginning is very much politically aware, and they are aware of their social, economic and other rights, and they voice it very strongly during the elections. This time is, no different than previous elections, but right now there were burning issues like unemployment, migration, and during the COVID challenges, many of them lost their jobs, their businesses, and it has impacted them hard. So they are now coming out to vote. Whatever their decisions are, they are accordingly have voted. And now they are, all the people, all the Biharis are eagerly waiting for the results. Their eagerness is there, and they are very conscious about their rights. Yes, Nancy.
Okay. All right, Salman, and what's the sense you're getting as far as the anticipated celebrations are concerned? Because they must be muted, and that's what each party must really be planning. Because one has to really follow the COVID-19 protocol. The party workers have to be kept enthused, but at the same time, there has to be muted celebration. So what's the sense that you're getting from each party camp?
Nancy, as far as I gathered some information from some political camps, that they have started preparing for celebrations, for distribution of sweetmeats, laddus, and even in BJP camps and JDU and RJD camps, they are preparing. Maner is the destination where you get famous laddus, bundi ke laddu. So they have all started preparing for distributing sweets when the result in their favor comes. As far as the gathering or a huge crowd is concerned, at present everything is cool and calm.
Okay.
I am at here at Sadakat Ashram, where almost it is deserted and nothing is happening. But a few media persons are here like me. As the day progresses, let us hope some activities will come out. Yes,
sure.
Nancy.
Okay. All right, Salman, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all those details. We'll, of course, keep coming back to you and getting regular updates as far as the counting in Bihar is concerned. And well, the counting of votes for by-polls to 58 assembly seats in 11 states is also taking place today. The states were Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Odisha, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Nagaland and Manipur. In Madhya Pradesh, the counting is being held for 28 assembly seats amid tight security and the COVID-19 protocol. In Uttar Pradesh, the counting is underway for assembly by-polls to 7 seats. The counting is also taking place for by-elections to 8 assembly seats of Gujarat. In Karnataka, the counting is being held for 4 seats of the state council and 2 seats of the state assembly. The counting is also underway for 2 assembly seats in Nagaland and 4 assembly seats in Manipur. The results are expected by this evening. Now shifting focus, the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attended the first BRICS finance ministers and the central bank governors meeting. The agenda of the meeting included discussions on the outcomes of the G20 Saudi presidency in 2020, a digital platform to encourage infrastructure investments, and the expansion of the membership of the new development bank. On the ongoing international efforts to find a solution to the issue of taxation of digital economy, the minister said that a consensus solution will play an important role in ensuring fairness, equity and sustainability of the tax systems. The BRICS finance ministers and the central bank governors also discussed the expansion of the membership of the new development bank. The finance minister supported the expansion of the membership of the NDB and emphasized the importance of regional balance. The minister also shared her perspective on Russia's initiative to develop an integrated digital platform. Now, the 15th Finance Commission led by Chairman N.K. Singh submitted its report for the period 2021-22 to 25-26 by President Ramnath Kovind. Last year, the Commission had submitted its report containing recommendations for the year 2020-21, which was accepted by the Union Government and tabled in Parliament on 30th January this year. The Commission was asked to give its recommendations on many unique and wide-ranging issues in terms of reference. The Commission was also asked to examine whether a separate mechanism for the funding of defence and internal security ought to be set up, and if so, how such a mechanism could be operationalized. And let's go back to the counting that's underway. As far as Bihar elections are concerned, it's a big day for Bihar, Judgement Day there, Bihar. Let's go across to our correspondent Abhishek Jha, who's joining us from one of the counting centers there. Abhishek, just take us through the sense that you're getting as far as counting is concerned. If it's of course began at 8 in the morning, what trends, what are the trends indicating, and what's the mood there in the political parties?
So Nancy, the trend has clearly so far, it's still early, but Mahagathbandhan is leading and NDA is trailing. We were at, just a while ago, we were at the RJD office where there's a huge monitor set up for this update for this whole news webcast. People are there, but the celebration are strictly, so they are not allowing any celebration to happen because the senior leaders have asked their party cadres not to prematurely celebrate any victory and wait until the results are finally out and until there is a confirmation that whether RJD or Mahagathbandhan will be in a position of power. Meanwhile, other party offices also, there are not huge crowd gathered so far as of now, but people, we were out here in streets also, and we saw so many people watching every minute live update, instantly getting information through their smartphone and news and Twitter handles and social media handles. So the people are actually very excited and very enthusiastic about who is going to win the election. It is still early, almost 1.5 hours of counting has happened. Postal ballots were counted early, and postal ballots have clearly said that Mahagathbandhan is in a leading position. But now when other votes are also being counted, the EVM machines have now opened and the counting process has begun. We are getting started. We will get starting trends of who is going to lead and who is going to win in a couple of hours from now.
Okay. And what's the sense that you're getting as far as the political parties and the representatives are concerned, because they are both very optimistic, both the sides optimistic. Of course, we'll talk about the criticality of the kingmaker in these elections are concerned, but both the sides are very confident of their win. Have you heard from any of the party leaders so far?
So far we have seen, Nancy, every political party taking very cautious step because RJD has claimed that they will pass some 180 marks that they had they had said that they will be able to do that. But then we know that it doesn't seem a practical possibility as of now. BJP has also said that it will cross the earlier, it was third rank last election, so it has said that it is going to be in a better position this time. Congress revival is still pinned on this election because it is also fighting on some 70 seats. And it is getting a few good friends also, so that there is a stake, there is a prospect of Congress party's political prospect still hanging with these early trends, and whether they are going to get those number of seats that they are getting in trends is a thing that we'll have to wait to see. Meanwhile, all the spokespersons, while they still maintain that everybody, like be it RJD, BJP, Congress and JDU, every political spokesperson is claiming that they are going to win in a large number, or they are going to improve their performances of vis-a-vis last election.
Okay.
We are still they are still little early to comment on that, because in just 2 hours from now we will be having a very clear picture of Bihar election, that who is in a position to make the government and who is actually going to win this election.
Okay. All right, Abhishek Jha, thanks very much for joining us for the moment. As far as the counting day in Bihar is concerned, we'll of course be coming back to you and getting regular updates on that. Thanks very much for now. And moving on, Prime Minister Modi will today lead the Indian delegation to the 20th summit of the SCO Council of Heads of States, which is being held virtually. The meeting will be chaired by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The heads of states of all the 8 member states, Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan will be present at the meeting. The heads of state of 4 observer states of the SCO, that's Iran, Afghanistan, Belarus and Mongolia, will also participate. The leaders of the member states will address the summit. This will be the first SCO summit to be held in virtual format, and this is the 3rd meeting that India will be participating as the full member. India was granted observer status of the SCO in 2005 and it became a full member in 2017. In the last 3 years, India has maintained extensive engagement in all the fields under the SCO framework. Moving on now, the museums, art galleries and exhibitions under the Ministry of Culture will reopen from today under Unlock 5.0 guidelines by the Home Affairs Ministry. All these institutions were shut since a nationwide lockdown was announced in March to contain the spread of the virus. The Ministry of Culture had last week issued standard operating procedure for reopening of these cultural institutions. The temperature screening of all the visitors have been made mandatory, along with registering their contact details to ensure tracking in case any positive case is found in the museum and the art gallery. Sanitization of premises at regular intervals and wearing of masks by all the visitors has also been made mandatory, while the use of audio guides has been barred unless they can be disinfected after every use. The guidelines also have a separate section on the purchase of tickets, whereby non-cash payment methods like online ticket purchase, contactless card, UPI applications or mobile wallets are advised. Floor markers shall also be used for physical distancing during queue management at the ticket counter. Adequate physical distancing of at least 6 feet must be followed at all times. The availability of the hand sanitizers, preferably in touch-free mode, at the entry and the exit points as well as common areas within the premises also have to be ensured. Now, cinema theatres are opening in Chennai from today, but with strict standard operating procedures. Social distancing has to be maintained by the visiting public. Only 50% seating capacity will be allowed, and separate staff shall see to it that no crowding occurs during the entry and the exit of the public in the arena. Now, the Pabitara Wildlife Sanctuary in Assam, known for dense population of the great Indian rhinoceros, will be reopened today for domestic and foreign tourists after around 7 months. It's a ranger Mukul Tamuli. The 38 square kilometer wildlife sanctuary on the southern bank of river Brahmaputra in Moregaon district, that's adjacent to Guwahati, was closed since late March due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the monsoon season thereafter. Now, in some other news, the Sessions Court at Alibag on Monday granted the Raigad police permission to question Arnab Goswami at Taloja Central Jail for 3 hours in the 2018 abetment to suicide case starting today. The Sessions Court was hearing the criminal revision application filed by the local crime branch seeking Goswami's police custody and challenging the order passed by the Chief Magistrate Court. The court will continue to hear the revision application today. Earlier, the Bombay High Court had refused to grant interim bail to Arnab Goswami in the case. Goswami and the other two accused, Nitish Sharda and Feroz Sheikh, have filed their bail applications before the same court. Now, the Health Ministry has said that demonstrating a landmark achievement, India's active cases have fallen below 6% of the total cases. And in a tweet this morning, the ministry said the recovered cases have leaped past 92% of the cumulative cases. It said the calibrated and effective strategy of the centre focused on high levels of testing for early identification combined with timely tracing, isolation and hospitalization for the severe cases have resulted in a manageable number of active cases and continuously rising number of recoveries. And developments from around the world, a preliminary analysis has shown that the first effective COVID-19 vaccine can prevent more than 90% of the people from getting COVID-19 infection. The vaccine has been tested on 43,000 people in 6 countries and no safety concerns have so far been raised. Scientists, public health officials and investors have all welcomed the first successful interim data from a large-scale clinical test as a watershed moment that could help turn the tide of the pandemic if the full trial results pan out. However, mass rollouts which needs regulatory approval will not happen this year and several vaccines are seen as necessary to meet the massive global needs. Pfizer and German partner BioNTech are seeking US emergency use authorization this month, raising the chance of a regulatory decision as soon as December. Meanwhile, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has warned it was too early to see the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19 as a solution to the virus, but he said the UK government had ordered 40 million doses, enough for a third of the population, as each person would need 2 doses. And the vaccine news has sparked renewed optimism in equities around the world. The global markets have rallied after Pfizer vaccine news came out. Wall Street has hit record high. The S&P 500 ended higher but closed just shy of a record on Monday. The investors bet that a full economic reopening was finally in sight following the first positive data from a late-stage COVID-19 vaccine trial. Pfizer shares also closed sharply higher after soaring as much as 15.4% during the session. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 834 points to 29,157. The S&P 500 gained 41 points to 3,550 and the Nasdaq Composite dropped 181 points to 11,713. Meanwhile, the European shares have jumped to an 8-month high on Monday after drug makers Pfizer and BioNTech flagged strong progress in their COVID-19 vaccine. The pan-European stocks jumped nearly 4% and clocked its best day since late March. BioNTech's shares jumped more than 15%. The US President-elect Joe Biden's election victory has also raised hopes of a more stable US trade policy. Meanwhile, the Asian stocks also rallied as investors applauded the vaccine development news. And in more news from around the world, the US President Donald Trump has sacked Defense Secretary Mark Esper, announcing on Twitter that the top US official has been terminated. Christopher Miller, the current head of the National Counter-Terror Center, will take on the role immediately. The former Special Forces soldier served on President Trump's National Security Council before becoming the head of the Counter-Terror Center in August. In the weeks before Biden takes office on 20th January, Trump is still empowered to make decisions. In a resignation letter, Mark Esper thanked the members of the armed forces and said he was proud of his achievements in the 18 months of service at the Pentagon. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news, but news and updates will continue here on DD India. For the moment, thanks for being with us.